Hi, good morning. Um, all my content seems to be the same thing on repeat, which doesn't bother me because I make it for me. But I thought I'd try something a little different. I thought maybe I would address some of the comments that I get in YouTube and Instagram. Um, I don't have a ton of followers. It's not like people are blowing my comments up and trashing me or anything like that. It's not that at all. But those that do comment and follow along, there does seem to be a trend in the sort of comment that I get. So I thought I would address those for something different. I don't know. Maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not. But one of the comments or types of comments that I might see, especially on YouTube, is that, hey, I enjoy your stuff. I'm copying it. Can you give more detail? Can you explain? Just things like that. And so I'm a pretty detail-oriented person myself. Everything that I record that I put on YouTube is basically, what I'm doing personally. So I hyperlink those videos, my training sets, back to my online training log. And so that's why I do it. The shorthand that you may not understand, well, it's not for you. Sorry. It's just a little bit of a description of what I'm doing in the video. I'm not writing programs for the masses for free. If that's something you want, if you want details, I'm taking new clients. That's if you have questions about what I'm doing and how you can apply that to you. All my clients, their questions are answered in detail. And so if that's something that's interesting, that's probably a smarter way to go. As far as copying, again, I'm choosing to put this stuff out there. And so I know there's going to be people that copy. From a marketing strategy, you have to give things away, in this industry. There's a lot of great kettlebell programmers and performers out there. And so I have to stand out. I have to do things that are different. And so putting myself out there, of course, you're going to have people that then see this as an opportunity. But remember, when you're copying somebody else, not just me, but when you're copying somebody else, they have a different injury history. They have different performance goals. They have different, family history, obviously. And so you might have limitations that they don't. They might have limitations that you don't. You're just copying somebody else. And if you're going to copy me, you might get closer to my goals, but not necessarily your goals. You got to be careful too with injury. If you're copying, and the same for me. If I were to copy somebody that's levels ahead of me, because I want to get to their level, am I progressing smart, safely, things like that? It can lead to injury, overtraining, undertraining, depending on where your weaknesses and your strengths are. And so copying may seem like a good idea. It generally is not, but to each their own. And so that's just kind of why I use shorthand, why I'm not being overly detailed, things like that. So the other big comment I get is, what else do I do? And I just talked about this with my coach on our podcast, The Essentialist. Maybe you didn't know I had a podcast. It's pretty small, so don't feel bad. But it's called The Essentialist. We are on Spotify, and we have a YouTube channel as well. And where we just talk about our philosophy or what I've learned from him and my time competing. And then he's got a little bit different perspective, because I've got some injuries that I have to work around, that he programs for me differently than he would program for somebody that's not limited in the ways that I am. So, exercise choice, again, comes down to enjoyment. So the question was, I like your kettlebell stuff, but what do you do when you're not, what do you do with the bar? You know, what do you deadlift? What do you squat? Things like that. And truthfully, I don't do anything that you don't see. So if I posted it to YouTube or Instagram, that's what I'm doing. Whether it's preparing for a competition like I am now, or whether it's just training because I really, need to train for mental health reasons. That's kind of, the whole point is I'm showing what is, in my mind, what is possible with kettlebell training. I think the general public struggles with this because, excuse me, what you see on social media and what probably pops up in your news feeds isn't what I'm doing, and the people that don't know associate the two together. I look, move, use loads that go for durations that, here in America, you don't see a lot of people doing. Truthfully, I'm pretty pedestrian when it comes to the greats in this sport. Like, I should be comparing myself to the greats. I've only got about 6 years with kettlebell sport training, and I'm getting mid 40s now, and there's no reason for me to compare myself to anyone, but because I am competitive and I do have an ego, of course I compare myself. And so there's no reason there shouldn't be a reason for me to compare myself to those that are levels ahead of me, because I just don't have the time invested into this sport just yet. But to get back on track here, I don't do anything with a bar because I don't enjoy training with a bar. I have all sorts of previous injuries from wrestling my entire life. While growing up, I was over fat and under strong, which put a lot of different strain on my muscles and joints. And even after I lost all the weight and got much stronger, I had some significant imbalances. Like most people, I just trained what I was good at, and that, while fun and better than nothing, is not smart or a recipe for long-term success. And so that led me to kettlebells eventually, where my training became much more rounded, and I became much more balanced. And when I got into the sports side of things, I became a lot more focused on an event or a goal versus just training in general. And again, one's not right, one's not wrong. That's just kind of where I'm at personally. And I want to enjoy what I'm doing as I'm getting older. I want to look forward to my training, and the bar just is not enjoyable for me. It doesn't matter if it's deadlifting, squatting, pressing. I just don't enjoy it. And so lots of people use the bar in Gearboy and use it as a performance enhancer for their sport. There's countless ways to do it to get stronger. The bar is a wonderful tool. I just don't use it. I don't have max strength goals. I mean, I don't care what I deadlift. I don't care what I squat or press. That doesn't get me excited personally. I enjoy other people doing it. I've got a couple of weightlifting coaches here at my gym, and I think snatch, clean, and jerk with a bar is when done well, is beautiful. I really enjoy it. The training that goes into it, those people are highly dedicated. I've got friends that compete in powerlifting. Very, very strong, very impressive what they can do. I just don't enjoy it. For me, my body doesn't feel good, and if I don't feel good and I don't look forward to it, I'm not going to enjoy training. I want to be able to look forward to my sessions, and so that is why I just stick with kettlebells and some basic bodyweight movements, which leads to my next point, and I'll try to wrap this up. I'm rambling, but along those lines, what do I do away from the videos that I'm posting? And then a lot of times you'll see me do burpees. Burpees seem to for whatever reason, be a hot button issue for people. And I don't know why people get so worked up when they see somebody else doing burpees. But I do burpees for time. I do them as tempos. I don't like to run, and burpees are a great way for me to train, cardio, because I can do them well and I recover well from them. I don't get sore from them. They're intense, or the feeling of intense, the feeling of difficult while I'm doing them, high reps. But again, I recover well from them, and it's not something that gets in the way of my training with kettlebells. I can keep my body unloaded and still get in the work I need to get in. The burpee is not for everybody. There's two types of, in my opinion, of people that should not absolutely be doing burpees. Those that have like 1 rep max goals, whether it's weightlifting, snatch, clean, and jerk, whether it's powerlifting, bench, squat, deadlift. Those are sports and modes of training that don't require, you have to be explosive, you have to load your central nervous system, you have to have fantastic technique, and a lot of times, doing conditioning like a burpee workout or burpee session is counterproductive to your goals. Then you absolutely should not be doing something like burpees. The other people that shouldn't be doing burpees are the people that are too weak to do them. Like if you can't do good push-ups, if you can't do good bodyweight squats, adding speed and jumping to that is a disaster waiting to happen. If you're too weak, or you're not mobile, or you're over fat, don't do burpees. And I think burpees get a bad reputation here, especially in the West. And just speaking from my observational experience is that poor programming, poor coaching, you just throw in burpees. You have them in group classes, you have them like in a boot camp, or you have all kinds of CrossFit type stuff, maybe an F45 type deal, just throwing them in. If you can't do them well, then you shouldn't do them. They're hard. When you do them well, they're hard. And when things are hard, they get sloppy. And just busting out more reps for the sake of busting out more reps is again not smart training. And I think that's why they get. But for me, my goals, muscular endurance, they do a great job of filling in some gaps for me. And so, a guy got into my comments and told me how dumb I was for what I was doing, and again, that might be dumb for his goals or dumb for the average person's goals to do the kind of volume that I'm doing. But again, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a power lifter. I'm not a weightlifter. I'm barely even a Gearvik. I'm just trying to be the best version of me. And, staying lean, staying healthy, that's, outside of performance with long cycle right now, those are my goals. And burpees definitely help me achieve that. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch on today, was just a different kind of video talking about the things that pop up in my comments. So if you liked this video, maybe I'll do them more often. If my voice is annoying, I get it. Just tell me in the comments. Just don't come into my comments and say, "Oh, you shouldn't post all your videos then if you don't want people to copy you," or if you're gonna post yourself doing burpees, you're gonna get hate. And I get it. I know you don't have to. I hope I didn't come across as whining. I hope to come across as explaining. Oh, and the last thing with the burpees, I do them a little bit different. As I'm sure you've noticed, I use the kettlebells for my hands, and I kick my feet back up on a box. And so generally, The kettlebells are about 11 inches tall, and the box that I kick my feet up onto, the basic box is 12 inches. So in my opinion, it's a wash. The push-up is a full range of motion push-up like I'd be doing them on the floor. 11-inch handles, 12-inch box. Occasionally you'll see me kick them up to a 16-inch step or a 20-inch box, just to, again, make the difficulty with the pressing, the upper body pressing, just a little bit more difficult. The reason I do that, a couple reasons. One, the floor is a long ass ways away. I'm getting older. It's a lot of extra range of motion, stress on my back, getting up and down, and it's easier to get sloppy, in my opinion, bringing my legs up to do the jump. And I don't want to get sloppy. I would rather be able to maintain a faster pace and the shorter range of motion and get more push-ups in than worry about where my feet are and maybe wear and tear on my back. If you don't train kettlebells for endurance, 10-minute sets or longer with half marathons, there's a lot of just lower back fatigue involved in a lot of that stuff. And so on my days when I'm not training kettlebells, I don't like to go through all that lower back fatigue. So elevating my feet and my hands, shortening that range of motion makes sense for me. Occasionally I will still do them on the floor, but it's not something that if I'm traveling or something, I'll do a burpee like your standard burpee. But here in my gym, I've got the availability, I've got the bells, I've got the boxes, and it just makes more sense for me. So the other thing is that from a pacing standpoint, I can do more reps in the same amount of time. So like I average 12 and 30 seconds or 24 in a minute, and I can keep that pace consistently as long as I take smart rest periods. And that means if I'm on the floor, I'm doing 10 or 11 in 30 seconds, or I'm doing 21, 22 in a minute, that means I'm getting an extra push-up or two each interval. And so I'm doing more work, upper body, in the same amount of time. And so when I look at my longer sets, I absolutely fatigue in the upper body. That's my limiting factor with my kettlebell sets. And so getting more work done because I can move faster and get more reps in the same amount of time is another reason why I do it. And then lastly, dropping to the floor. Again, not only does that increase my range of motion, slow me down overall, more wear and tear on my back, you're also, just smashing you're extending your wrists, smashing them into the floor. If I put them on the kettlebell handles, I can keep my wrist neutral, straighter. And that's, when I'm in my rack position, that's where I'm at as well. I'm not in this flex position with my kettlebells, or that extended position, sorry. I'm in that neutral wrist position, and I can maintain that position better when I do my push-up portion of the burpee on the kettlebells. So there's the method to the madness. It's not some trick or anything like that. You could say, oh, you're doing less work because it's easier. No, it is easier. I can move faster and then I can do more reps. So I would argue it's not less work at all, but it is easier for me. All right, way too much rambling. Have a great day.